Hi everyone, John here, All Miniatures Great and Small, and today we are doing another Flames of War unit overview. This time we are looking at the Panzer 470 from the new German Bagration book. So it's a new tank for the Germans to play with, and I think it's pretty cool. So here we go. So the 470 is an interesting combination of the Panther's gun married to the hull of a Panzer IV. So it's an interesting hybrid. It's more powerful than a Stug, and in some ways it rivals a Panther in what it can do. Alright, so let's talk about the stats of this beast. They're hit on 4s, which is pretty typical for German stuff in Bagration. It's a motivation confident 4+. Since it's a self-propelled gun, its counterattack is 1 worse, so that's a 5+. But it gets the nice Third Reich last stand value of a 3+. So if you're down to that last stand roll, you have a 66.6% chance of passing that. Skill-wise, it's a veteran 3+. In an assault, it's a 4+. Again, the self-propelled penalty making it harder to hit in assault. It is a front armor 9, which is, again, rivals a Tiger and a Panther. So it's the same front armor. Its side armor is 4, and its top armor is 1. So it's pretty close stats-wise to what you'd see in a Panther as far as armor goes. Then speed-wise, tactical 10, terrain-12, cross-country 16, road-18. This tank's not getting anywhere super fast. And a cross-check of, here's the killer, a cross-check of 5+. So these guys, it kind of continues the theme in Bagration. We're seeing the Germans deploy tanks that excel in the defense. You know, we saw the Elephant, we saw the Hetzer, and of course what we're looking at now, the Panzer 470. So let's talk about the gun. We've got a Panzer 470 7.5mm gun, range 40, which is a fantastic range to outrange Soviet guns, which are either 28 or 32. Halted rate of fire 2, moving rate of fire 1, anti-tank 14, 3+ firepower. And you've got that forward firing special rule, so that's kind of a negative. You only shoot at things that are in front of you, which makes sense since it's a fixed gun in the hull. Alright, then you've also got one machine gun, range 16, standard stats on that. You know, moving rate of fire 3, and shooting rate of fire, or halted rate of fire 3. Anti-tank 2, 6+ firepower. It is also forward firing as well. So some cool stuff there. It has bazooka skirts, so that can help it against bazookas and Piats and the like, RPG 6s. So overall, it's a pretty solid, it's a pretty solid tank. So as we mentioned at the beginning, it's a combination of Panther and Panzer IV, but in game terms, it's much more like a Panther, in that its gun is the same, its armor is basically the same, its movement is not quite as maneuverable. That 5+ cross check is a killer, but otherwise it's there. Now, so it's a less capable Panther is a good way to think about it. That said, each one of these still costs you 9 points, so they're not they're not cheap at all. And you saw Jake use this in one of our battle reports. Can't remember if it was a Patreon or a YouTube battle report. To good effect. They're a good fire base. Basically, if you're going to take these guys, you're taking them, one, you think the model looks cool, or it fits your theme of whatever unit you're trying to represent, or two, you wanted to take Panthers, but you needed to shave a couple of points off. This is a good example of that. Now, how can you field these guys? You can field them 2 different ways. There is actually a Panzer 470 company in the German Bagration book, so if you want to take a whole formation of these guys, you certainly can. So that is, just like all formations, an HQ of 1. And I guess you could take 2 in the HQ as well, 1 or 2 in the HQ. And then you have 2 required platoons, and you can add a 3rd platoon of either 3 or 4 Panzer 470s, which is pretty cool. Then you have the in the last slot, you can round out and take AA. So either Wirbelwind, Ostwind, something along those lines. Basically, it's just something to keep, 1, to keep your formation in the game, and 2, to keep pesky IL-2s and Thunderbolts off your expensive tanks. So that's one way to run it. You can also just run it as a platoon attachment to another formation. So again, that's either 3 or 4. I don't know why I keep saying 2. Either 3 or 4 of these tanks in a platoon. And again, they run about 9 points. So if you took 4 of them, that's a substantial chunk of your army. So basically, when you're building your list, you're either looking at, Tigers, Panthers, or these guys. Again, all filling the same role. This is the cheapest of the selections, but still gives you that great, tasty AT-14 3+ firepower, which is so important when you're dealing with heavier Soviet armor like IS-2s, the ISU-152s, 122s, things like that. It's a good counter against it, particularly since they're 4+ to hit. They're kind of a low-profile tank. They're hard to see. It's pretty cool stuff. So, should you field these guys? I think so. In Bagration, they are one of those iconic German vehicles that started arriving in numbers, and it's cool to see that. If you see Panzer 470s in a list, you know you're playing a German force that's a little bit later in the late war timeline, trying to stop that Soviet tide from kind of overwhelming them. So I think that's pretty cool, and that's kind of true with all of the new stuff that the Germans get in the Bagration book, and I really can't complain about that. Overall, I think that they provide a good niche, a little bit cheaper, not much cheaper, but a little bit cheaper than a Panther. And just for the sake of comparison, I guess I should tell you the points of the Panther as well. They run about 11 points per tank. So by downgrading your Panther to a Panzer 470, you're saving about 2 points per tank, which can add up. If so, a platoon of 3, like you see here, that's 6 points. If you're going to take Panthers, you've downgraded 6 points, which could buy you, go to an anti-tank unit, more infantry, artillery battery. So it can add up and save, save you some points. Overall, though, tactically, these make a great ambush unit. If you ambush, you probably want to ambush them behind low terrain so that they get concealment. You could ambush them in woods, but that is a double-edged sword. If you ambush them in woods, expect them not to move. With the 5+ cross-check, you're better off assuming that they're just going to fail, and just keep them as a mobile, an immobile, fire base, which can work well, especially in defense. If you've got a great defensive tree line, the enemy is going to come to you, that you pop them in the woods. Otherwise, look for the low terrain so that you can be behind the low terrain and not have to make a cross-check to reposition yourself. So, there you go, guys. That's a look at the very cool Panzer 470 for the German Bagration book, Flames of War, Late War. Another cool unit. I like doing these unit overviews, and we still have a couple more that I want to do out of the German book. But I thought I would get this one out because, again, cool tank. What's not to love? I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please do consider giving us a like and subscribe. Click that bell to receive notification when we publish new content. You can also, if you like our Flames of War content, please do check out our Patreon. Patrons receive a exclusive battle report once a month, and we have a good backlog, a good ongoing battle of Germans versus Russians has gone on Patreon, so something to check out. Please do in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about this unit. Have you tried it out before? Are you looking forward to trying it? Do you think it's terrible because of that cross-check? What are your thoughts on that? I'd love to hear and get that discussion going. As always, thanks for watching, though, and keep on wargaming.